All right, we've restarted the computer and we're going to go through the process of actually bonding the two interfaces together. And you can see that the system does see that there is a new interface here. If I run Dmessage, and Dmessage is basically just the file that's created when the system is booting up and the kernel is actually looking at the hardware and seeing the driver information needed for that hardware. And so this is a critical file when troubleshooting issues about hardware when booting up, and it's a place I typically go for looking for problems. And what we can do here is grep for ETH, and we can see that the system has found the ETH2 card. We can see that 0 and 1 are up and going on the system, so we have to go and configure that manually, which is not a problem, and especially since we're going to be doing the bonding side of this. Now, in the last series, we did configure binding of multiple IP addresses, and I just want to make sure that at this point, what I want you, if you haven't done it already, delete any bindings you have to multiple IP addresses. We're not going to be using that at this stage in the class. We may use it later on, especially when we get into the Apache server, but for right now, what I want you to have on your machine is what you see right here. ETH0, typical IP address, ETH1 with whatever dynamic address you're getting, because that's what it is, a DHCP interface. And that's all. That's everything else. Anything else that's there, except of course loopback, should be deleted. So I need the bindings, get rid of those. And if we go into our scripts and I do an ls in here, and I'll do an if, we see we have two scripts. And what I would recommend you do is copy this script to your home directory and edit it as I'm going to show you. Leave ETH1 by itself. Don't do anything with that one. All right, let's get out of here, clear my screen. And I've done that already. So if I do an LL here for if CFG, I've actually created a if CFG bond file, and inside that bond file we have to have these parameters. So I'm going to cat that file for you. This is what you need to have in that file. Create the file and put these parameters in that file. This is actually the master bond file itself. This is what we'll be bringing up, and this is what the system will see as the interface, and all the hosts on the outside, or on the inside I should say, will see that as the interface also. Now ETH0, I have also copied it over here because we have to make modifications to that too. So I'll just ETH0 cat that, and this is what ETH0 should look like also. Once again, we've made major changes to it, so I want you to do exactly what I've just done here. Once you've gotten that done, all you need to do is make a copy of this, call it ETH2, change this to ETH2, and you're good to go. And then we'll put them all back in the directory for networking. So let's do that. Let's say copy if CFG ETH0 to if CFG ETH2, and then VI if CFG ETH2. I'm going to go over here, replace the 0 as a 2, and we're good to go. Now we're going to just copy all of these. So if CFG star to etc sysconfig networking scripts. Press enter. It's going to say, hey, you're going to override this. Now, once again, before you do this, before you actually get to this point, take a snapshot of your system, please, so you have everything set the way it was before you actually copied over these files, and this way you'll be safe. All right, so we'll say yes to that. And the last thing, of course, we need to do is create the mod comp file in here. And we have to create this bonding file. This is literally not there. You'll have to create it. And inside of here, if I open it up, these options need to be in that file. Go ahead and do all of that. And then what we'll do in the next lecture is we'll actually start up the system and take a look at what's happening.